Egypt's historic Saffron Palace, once home to the Egyptian monarchy and birthplace of the last king of Egypt, Farouk, is set to open its doors to members of the public for the first time ever. Having recently been transformed into a museum, inside its storied halls, visitors will be transported back in time to a period of grandeur and opulence that characterized Egypt's royal past.
First of all, thank you very much for being with us today and witnessing this very important event. It's really a landmark in Ain Shams University history that we're opening for the very first time a museum encompassing several important 167 or 170 pieces, very important and very precious, back from the pharaonic time and from the kingdom time, because this palace started in 1860. Burned down in later on few years and then rebuilt in the beginning of the 20th century in the 1901, 1902 the idea started by King Ismail or Khedive Ismail by that time, that he wanted this palace to be for his mother because she had the bronchial asthma, and I'm a physician, so by bronchial asthma by that time they believed that around us there are some what called saffron plant that is good for the respiratory system and the lungs. Of course, this is a myth now, but by that time they believed this. So 5,000 acres all around the palace with this landmark palace has been there for his mother and then for his two wives who became widows and lived in identical wings, if you can see on the first floor. As usual, if you live over years and years, things they deteriorate, and we wanted to conserve this very important and very historical piece of art, I would say. It's a sort of small Versailles, like the one in France, and the architecture was La Shak, Italian, Slovenian, Egyptian, so it's encompassing several flavors and several arts, I would say. So we said, how could we conserve it and get it back to its reality? With the Ministry of Antiquities and Archaeology, we set a plan, a very ambitious plan over years. First of all, to refurbish this palace inside and outside, and I think outside is already finished. Inside there is a lot to be done yet. And the -1 floor or the basement, which we can change it or make it a sort of closed museum encompassing the important pieces I mentioned, always in close collaboration with higher authorities in the Ministry of Archaeology. So this is the first step, what you saw today. The second step will be that sort of open museum in the ground floor and the first floor. And we documented all this in a very nice book, first of all in Arabic and then in English and then in French. I think you should have at least the English one, maybe the French one as well. And it tells you everything about the history of this palace from the very beginning to today. It witnessed important historical events like inauguration of the Arab League. It was in 1945. It has been started here and signed here in this palace. The first steps or the ideas of the independence treaty of 1936 that has been signed in London, yes, but all over before 1936, everything and all the conventions and all the meetings, all the preparation has been in this palace. The Saudi royal family, by the founder King Abdulaziz, and all the current and previous kings were just children by that time. 70 or 75 members lived in this palace for around 20 days. And our very important poet, Hafiz Ibrahim, who call it the poet of the Nile, and is one of the the most important poets in the history, in the Egyptian history, I would say, made a poetry and saying a lot about the beauty and the history of this palace, and it's in the book. Yes, you can have a look on it. So we want to conserve all this important history in the best way possible for us, for the coming generations, and to be open for not only for students in Ain Shams University and faculty in Ain Shams University, so obviously they will be the first visitors, but it will be open for everybody, from students from all universities or even schools in the pre-university period. And we had a talk today with His Excellency Ministry of Tourism and Archaeology that maybe it will be open in the weekends or in the summer vacation or something to tourism at large, but of course in a very ordered and way and according to a very fine-tuned protocol between the ministry and us.
Now, the Palace turned museum showcase a unique and distinguished collection of artifacts that tell the story of Egypt's rich history. Visitors can view the imposing facade of the gate of the palace of Prince Nimatra, son of King Ramses II and High Priest of the Sun at the Temple of Ra in Luno. They can also marvel at the bronze statue of Imhotep, its base made of alabaster and dating back to the 26th dynasty, the Savi era.
Well, I think the preservation of our incredible history is very important always, and so we have here, starting from ancient Egypt and all the way until today. So I think it's a beautiful way of celebrating our civilization and our culture. The building belonged to Za'fran Palace. Is actually a historic building because some important things were signed in the Za'fran Palace for the Arab League. But before that, it was a palace which belonged to two of the wives of Khedive Ismail. So there's a very strong link with the Muhammad Ali family. It's very important to link Egypt to the whole of its past, you know, from ancient Egypt all the way to today. I think it's very important to link it all together.
Za'fran Palace is one of the most authentic places that we are so proud to have here in Egypt, and restoring this place in the modern era is not just a privilege for all the Egyptians, but also a privilege for the educational system. Shuruq Bikir, Nile TV International.